And the grid is as follows. On the front row, it's a Belgian front row. Len Nys took pole position in qualifying earlier on and will line up alongside GKS Lemons Power's teammate, Thomas Strauven, also from Belgium in the number 9. Tommy van der Stroys in the 54 from the Netherlands will line up alongside Belgium's Matej Radenkovic in the 99 on row number 2. Then it's Casper Schormans in the number 40 from the Netherlands with Dries van Langendonk rounding out row 3. Max Zaderski from the Netherlands in the number 19 will have Olivier Jonkers in the number 16 on the outside of row number 4, with Tom van Langendonk, Ollie Wise from the United Kingdom, Karel Stout from Belgium, and Kaz Tobben from the Netherlands. That's your 12-strong grid for this Micro Max race. The first race will be 11 minutes plus an additional lap in duration. So they now go on to the formation lap. So it will be down to Nys and Strauven to control the pace. Now, Ollie Wise had a great battle at Forest Edge a few weeks ago at the Motorsport UK British Kart Championships. Micromax won off. He took the runner-up spot at the end of the 15 or so minute plus 1 lap race. So good to see one of the Brits that was invited as being one of the the top 3 on the podium to join us here at Karting Genk. And very, very neatly into order brings Len Nys and Thomas Strauven the grid before even getting through the exit of turn number 9. That's great control. You can just see how raring to go these drivers are. These are the youngest drivers we have in the BNL karting series. They are the building block of how a driver progresses through Rotax racing circles. So it's Nys on pole, Strauven alongside with Van der Stroys and Radenkovic on row 2, Schormans and Dries van Langendonk row 3, Zaderski and Jonkers row 4, Tom van Langendonk and Ollie Wise ran out the top 10, followed by Belgium's Karel Stout and the Netherlands' Kaz Tobben in the 23 and 21 respectively. And the two at the front have brought this dual fire, this 2x2 rolling start formation. To they're waiting to put the throttles down, and the two at the front start everything rolling right now. And do we go lights out for 11 minutes? Yes, great job by Len Nys to get the whole shot heading into turns 1 and then 2, and it's nearly 3 abreast. They've got to be a little bit careful here as Van der Stroy is trying to go up the inside of Schormans for 2nd position, makes the move stick. And well, just keeping an eye, it's a little bit 2-3 abreast, a bit further down the order, as looks to be that Casper Schormans has got ahead of Tommy van der Stroys, who now has Strauven closing, as Nys has just got away with it and has got at least a 5 to 8 kart lead over Casper Schormans. So the two in 2nd and 3rd are 2nd and 1st respectively in the championship, as Strauven has gone up the inside of Tommy van der Stroys to cleanly take 3rd place through turn 9. So Nys just starting to pull away a little bit, and van der Stroys now under pressure to start moving forward, and has to do so very quickly. He wants to catch up with Len Nys, but has to deal with Thomas Strauven and Casper Schormans, who are in front a little bit further down the order. Ollie Wise has got to fight with Kaz Tobben, who goes up the inside of the Brit for 11th position through into turn 2. As the Brit now responds and tries to go up the inside on turn 3 on Tobben to retake the position back, but has to back out of it. But Len Nys has got a gap of around 0.7 of a second between himself and Casper Schormans. No, not anymore, because Thomas Strauven is now in 2nd. Looks to be Tommy van der Stroys up into 3rd place. And just behind Casper Schormans in 4th is Matej Radenkovic in the number 99. So getting very feisty between 2nd and 5th place. And there's a little bit of a gap to Dries van Langendonk, who's then got a further gap back to Max Zaderski from the Netherlands. That's 6th and 7th positions respectively. Nys did a 1 minute 4.894. He's got no one to work with, but has clean air, so this will help the number 17 from Belgium to keep a consistent gap. 8 minutes and 51 seconds on the clock to go. Strauven's taken. That's a big gap there. It was about 7/10. It's now just over half a second. And Strauven is closing on Nys. Now, if you might remember, these two were battling at Le Mans earlier on this year, and they provided us with an entertaining and scintillating battle at the Circuit Alain Prost. But I think Tommy van der Stoys is going to have something to say about it very, very shortly. There's plenty of this race remaining. So the top three now pretty much line astern as Strauven and van der Stoys have closed on Len Nys for the lead. Strauven's probably going to go for it, and he thinks of it, and he does go through. That's a great move from the GKS driver, but Len Nys quickly on the attack, looks quickly over the left shoulder, sees van der Stoys waiting to pounce. And van der Stoys better keep the blinkers on and look forward rather than worrying about looking back where Matej Radenkovic is. So Radenkovic takes a look over the right shoulder, sees where Kasper Schürmann is, who is actually quite a few kart lengths behind. So running on at the moment, it is now Strauven ahead of Nys. So Strauven did a really good job to get past his GKS teammate. Van der Stoys in third, Matej Radenkovic in fourth. Then it is Kasper Schürmann as van der Stoys trying to look up the inside of Len Nys, but Nys is just pulling away from the 54, who gets a little assist from behind thanks to Matej Radenkovic. But it's very much even Stevens. It's a stalemate between second, third and fourth at the minute, as this is allowing Thomas Strauven to pull away. Just behind them is Max Swiderski ahead of Olivier Jonkers, Dries van Langendonk and Karl Stout. There's a little bit of a touch there. Van der Stoys went a bit too hot in the corner, I believe, and Len Nys caught that very nicely coming out of that corner. Went a bit sideways. Still keeps second, but this has allowed Kasper Schürmann to close on the back bumper of Tommy van der Stoys. And in the process, this is now bringing Matej Radenkovic back into play. Swiderski, Jonkers, and that's Van Langendonk. That is Dries, number 15. And Radenkovic has just tumbled down the order and is just ahead of Karl Stout, who's in 9th place. So Strauven trying to move. He's pulled away, and he's got a gap of 1.5 seconds. So leading the way is Thomas Strauven in this first of 4 races this weekend. First of 2 today. So van der Stoys has to keep his advantage over Kasper Schürmann. This will give him 16 points. And Schürmann's will have 13 points. So this will probably extend the gap to around about 18 between first and second in the championship standings after this. As van der Stoys still sizing up Nys for a move. Can't get past quite yet. He's got to just take his time and not just rush into it. And he gets out of the slipstream early on Len Nys. So can't slingshot past into turn 2. But then that's an absolute barnstormer of a move there from not just Kasper Schürmann to Max Swiderski. Also now hot on the heels of Tommy van der Stoys, who's dropped to 4th position after that exchange through turn number 2. And Strauven is not going to be let to get away with it quite yet, because he did have a gap of around 1.5 seconds between himself and Len Nys. Nys has closed the gap, and that is by a mere fraction. He's closed it by about 2 to 3 tenths of a second, as Schürmann's now is ahead of van der Stoys and will close the gap in a virtual championship standing to around 12 points after this race. But it just depends on what happens on the next 5 minutes plus an additional lap, as Swiderski is looking menacing behind the number 54 from the Netherlands. There's van der Stoys looking to size up and move on Schürmann's. Goes up the inside of the number 40 to retake the position. Schürmann's quickly on the counter-offensive and goes side by side with the 54. It's a drag race across the finish. And there's Swiderski gives Schürmann's a bump from behind and also profits as a result of that. Van der Stoys losing places, and Olivier Jonkers is trying to get past the 54 on the parallel chassis. Can't get through, and then Radenkovic just pounces on Olivier Jonkers and Dries van Langendonk and gets back up into what is effectively 6th position. And I'm just keeping my eye on what's happening to van der Stoys. Is dropping down the order a little bit further now, as this time it is Strauven leading by just under 1.1 seconds from Len Nys. Then it looks to be Max Swiderski now up into 3rd place ahead of Matej Radenkovic, who I think, yeah, that is Radenkovic, who I think has just gone up the inside of Kasper Schormans. Van der Stroy's well out of the top 5 right now. The number 54 from the Netherlands has got an intense amount of work to do over the next 4 or so minutes. As Jonkers has just said to Van der Stroy's, come on, just work with me, please. But it's about a case of who's going to want it the most in terms of the championship fight. As Van der Stroy's looking to get up the inside. And looks to have taken that position back. And at the moment, looks like there is a little bit of a good battle behind, as Ollie Wise now back up into 10th position and is ahead of both Tom van Langendonk and also Kaz Tobben. Tobben now back up into 11th position. So at the minute, the gap is being truncated by Len Nys, who is closing on Thomas Strauven. Took nearly a 10th of a second out of his fellow countryman just a lap ago as they go through into turn 9, into the right sweeper at 10. So Strauven not quite out of the woods, but Radenkovic definitely on the charge and is going up the inside of Max Swiderski to take 3rd place. That's a nice move from the 99 on the number 19 there. As Schormans, and it looks like Olivia Jonkers is the sandwich filling in a Schormans and Van der Stroy sandwich. Well, not for much longer, because Van der Stroy gets past through turn 2. Nicely done from the Dutchman in the number 54. 2 minutes and 20 left to go in this first of 2 races. 11 minutes for this one and 13 minutes in the one later on today after the lunch break. So Strauven really trying to give himself the best opportunity possible to have that chance of going for the championship title. But the gap between Strauven and Nys was just over 8.5 tenths. We've got 1 minute and 54 seconds on the clock remaining. As Swiderski, well, it's side by side, well, it was side by side between Schormans and Van der Stroy's, and now Van der Stroy's back up into 4th. He's got a motor on as the young Dutch driver in the 54 and the Parolin chassis. So he's going to have a lot of work to do. He's got a big gap between himself and Max Swiderski, and that is to the tune of a second. He's got to make up a second in the next 90 minutes plus an additional lap here. So Swiderski really having to try and get his way past Radenkovic for 3rd place. As Strauven is being closed again by Nys, and that was a 1:02.778 on the last lap around by Strauven. Nys is just on a 1 minute 2.588. He's nearly 2 tenths of a second quicker than his GKS stablemate, but is having to soldier on whilst fending off Matej Radenkovic. So he's going to close the gap. He's going to bring Radenkovic and Swiderski with. And Van der Stroy's, let's see how quickly he's closed the gap on Swiderski, as again Radenkovic now goes for 2nd and takes it quite ceremoniously there from Len Nys. So Radenkovic up into 2nd, having started 4th, having dropped out of the top 5. And the gap between Max Swiderski and Tommy Van der Stroy's is still a 2nd. And there's a battle for the lead, and Radenkovic clearly wants to be at the front of the field, and Swiderski has gone up the inside of Nys and Radenkovic, and Van der Stroy pounces when he needs to. He timed that to absolute perfection. He just waited for the 3 to squabble in front, and now he's got in front of Len Nys for 3rd place. It's still all to play for. Schormans down in 6th place. Van der Stroy's now up into 3rd. And it must be the case that Van der Stroy has a chance of getting past Max Swiderski. He's about a kart length behind the number 19 from the Netherlands. So your guess is as good as mine. When, not if, Van der Stroy is going to get past Swiderski, as Strauven really has got the front of the field all to himself. And Van der Stroy goes for the lead on Swiderski. Swiderski hasn't got a response, but now has the slipstream as they go on to what is effectively the final lap of the race, as Radenkovic right on the back bumper of Len Nys, who's currently in 4th at the moment. Swiderski tries to go up the inside of Van der Stroy. The pair are side by side on the exit. Oh, a little bit of bumping there, as Nys right on the back bumper of Van der Stroy for 3rd place. Van der Stroy tried to get past Swiderski, couldn't get through, nearly got compromised as Nys goes up the inside of the 54 to take 3rd. And then we've also got, looks to be Radenkovic slingshotting past Dries van Langendonk and Olivier Jonkers. But this has allowed Thomas Stuyven on the final lap to really get away from everybody else that's tripping all over each other at the back of the field as it looks at the back part behind. And that's from second onwards. Van der Stoys looks to be in fourth at the minute. He's going to try and get past Len Nys. But that's if Matej Radenkovic has anything to say about it. Checker flag being prepared. And the first winner of the weekend in Micromax, provisionally speaking, is Thomas Stuyven, who punches the air with one fist. Max Swiderski in second. Len Nys in third. Tommy van der Stroys in fourth, ahead of Matej Radenkovic. Olivier Jonkers rounds out the top 7. Kasper Schurman's down in 8th position. Karel Stuyven in 9th. And in his first debut race at Genk, Ollie Wise from the United Kingdom takes 10th place, having got away from both Kaz Tobben and Tom van Langendonk. But Thomas Stuyven really has done the business here, and that's really helped everything. And that puts Stuyven effectively 149 points on that particular race. So Tommy van der Stroys will take 13 points. That puts him on 173, and Kasper Schurman's, I think, might be in danger of quickly losing second place, but will retain it for the moment. But Stuyven wins ahead of Swiderski, Nys, van der Stroys, Radenkovic, Dries van Langendonk, Olivier Jonkers, Kasper Schurmans, Karel Stout, Ollie Wise, Kaz Tobben and Tom van Langendonk.